Okay, today I'm going to show you how to build a Menger Sponge using SolidWorks. So first things first, go up to this little paper icon. It's the New button. You can also hit Control N on your keyboard and then click on Part. Once you do that, it'll take a little bit for it to load, but you should get a new workspace that we can start building our part in. Next, I'm going to go up to my Sketch tab here, select the rectangle tool, and I can start sketching on one of these planes. It doesn't matter which one you select, it'll just change the orientation of your part when you're done. Alright, so I'm going to make this a 90 by 90 square because it's easily divisible by 3. And I'm going to select both of these edges here, and the way that I did that was by either pressing and holding down Shift or pressing and holding down Control while I am selecting these lines. Doesn't matter which one you push. Then I click on the Make Equal button. It's in this little menu. If you don't see the menu here, if it disappears for you, then you can go over to the left-hand side and click on the equal relation there. Okay, so now looking down here at the bottom of my screen, it says that everything is fully defined and I'm ready to move on to the next step, which is going to the Features tab, clicking on the Extruded Boss Base, and I'm also going to extrude that up by 90 millimeters. Now I've got a 90 by 90 by 90 millimeter cube. If you wanted to change the dimensions, using the bottom left-hand icon here, instead of mmgs, if I wanted to change it into inches, I would click on IPS. Now it's not going to convert my 90 millimeters into 90 inches. It will be converted into the actual inch equivalent. So now you can see it's 3.54 inches rather than 90 millimeters. Now if I go back to millimeters, it'll go back to 90. Anyways, alright, let's go back to the task at hand here, which is going to be drawing these squares on the face of our Menger sponge. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool and select one of these 3 faces. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to draw a square in the middle, and I'll draw a square over on the side as well. Next, I'm going to use my line tool, and I'm going to click this construction box here by options. And I'm going to draw from the top left-hand corner over to the top corner of the square that I just made. Then draw another line from that corner down to the other corner of my square. And finally draw a third one over there. Okay, with those 3 lines done, now I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 more diagonal lines, this time from the bottom left-hand corner of my middle square up to the top right-hand corner, and then over to this corner over here. Now I've got this pesky extra line that's hanging out here. If I wanted to get rid of it while still being in the line tool, if I double-click using my mouse, so click, it will remove that line but still keep my line tool. Next, I'm going to draw 3 more construction lines on this bottom corner here. Okay, now let's see. So as I draw, you'll notice a couple green boxes start appearing. If I hover over them, it'll actually highlight in purple or pink what the affected sketch objects are. So for example, this collinear makes this line and this line both on the same line. If I wanted to do that down here, I would need to select this bottom line here, and either one of these 2 lines, I'll select this middle one, and make this collinear as well. So now you can see they're all on the same line as each other. I'm actually going to do that up here as well. So I'm going to select these construction lines, all three of them, and make them collinear. Okay, looks like I'm getting a little bit of an error here, so that's fine. It's trying to make this line vertical for whatever reason. Oh, did I click on the wrong? I think I might have hit the wrong relation. Collinear. There we go. Oops, my bad. I think I might have clicked on the vertical button on accident. Okay, so now we can see, now that I've correctly added the collinear relations, that everything matches up as it should. Now, these lines I also want to be collinear so that it's just one big diagonal moving across this face. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm actually going to be able to dimension everything I need here without adding any more smart dimensions. So if I click on collinear, okay, well now everything is in line, so that's good. I think I'm going to do the same on this side as well, make these collinear. And now I'm going to select all of these three construction lines and make these equal to each other. And what that means is the length of this line is now going to be the same length as this line, and the length of this line is now going to be the same as this line. Effectively splitting up this little corner section of my cube into three equal parts. I'm going to do the same for these as well. Nice. Alright, so we got fully defined here. Now the one thing we don't have, if you zoom in, you can kind of see we don't have fully defined dots, which means these lines don't know how long they're supposed to be, so I am going to select all of them and make them equal. Perfect. Alright. Now everything is fully defined as shown by the bottom of my screen. Okay, next I'm going to use a linear sketch pattern. I'm going to select the inside of my square, so it just selects the perimeter here. And using the menu on the left-hand side of my screen, I'm going to bump up the patterns to be 3 in the x-axis, and let's change, I'm going to type 3 in there. It's going the wrong way, so I can do one of two things. I can click on this little button next to the y-axis, or I can click on the little arrow here that will allow me to flip the direction. And I'm also going to skip this middle instance. Now it's a little bit hard to see what's going on, so I'm just going to boost this up to 11 and 11. These dimensions that I'm adding right now don't actually matter. The only reason I'm changing them is just to demonstrate what happens when I skip the middle instance. You'll see it's no longer patterned. And when I hit the green check mark, it's still not fully defined. This is why it doesn't really matter what dimensions I have for the pattern, because as I drag this bottom corner here, I can really change the shape to be whatever I want. I'm going to go ahead and attach that here. Okay, so now it knows I used that middle construction line segment to make this bottom line coincident to that endpoint, and I'm going to do the same thing on the top here. So I made this corner coincident with this diagonal construction line. Alright, next I'm going to use the extruded cut tool, and it's cutting through the whole shape, which is good, but instead of using blind, I'm just going to do through all. That way, if I ever change the dimensions of my cube, I won't have to worry about how deep I have to cut to go through the whole thing. Through all will always cut through everything no matter what. Alright, now here's the shortcut method to get the feature on these other two sides. I'm going to copy and paste. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on my cut extrude 1, and on my keyboard I'm going to hold down Control and then press C. Control, copy. Then I'm going to click on one of these sides here, and the closer you click to center, the more center it's going to paste. But now I'm going to do Control V, and it's going to ask, do you want to delete or dangle the external relations? For us, we want to delete them. This will make our jobs a little easier. And just like that, it's not perfect. You can see there the inside doesn't quite line up, but we can fix that. And this is how you edit sketches that you've already made. So now, if you look at the history, we have cut extrude 1, now you've got cut extrude 2, and if we click on the little triangle next to it, you'll see a drop down that has sketch 3. If I was to right click on it and click on edit sketch, now I can just take the corner dot here, move it into the corner of my cube, and just add these corners as needed until it's fully defined, just like that. Perfect. And it's already cutting all the way through because we also copied over that extrusion feature. So all I have to do is click on this blue arrow, and just like that, we got 2 out of the 3 edges done. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to paste this. I'm going to delete the okay, moving the, whoa, maybe this one should go first. Okay, and there. Alright, so all 3 sides of my Menger sponge. Now, if I wanted to add different appearances, if I go to this tool called Edit Appearance, it's got a little beach ball with a pencil on it. Now, depending on what I have selected, so for example, this little view selector over here, this is my part 1. This is my entire thing that I've made. If I was to right click on it, clear selections, I can actually go down and select different features. So, for example, the cuts that I made. So I'm going to go ahead and select on this feature here, and then using this little black triangle next to my part 1, if I click on that and go down to my different options, I'm going to click on my cut extrude 1, my cut extrude 2, and my cut extrude 3. So now I'm actually going to be applying appearances to the cuts that I've made. If I click on the appearances over here, oh, and the way I got to this little menu, if it ever disappears, it's just the beach ball on the side of your screen. The appearances, this little triangle or arrow next to appearances will give you a drop down. And let's see, if I go to painted, if I click on car, or sorry, let me take a step back. If I just click on the folder painted, you only get like 3 options, not very much. If I click on the little drop down next to painted, then I can have all sorts of different options. And you can also adjust the colors with the color changer over here as well. But I'm just going to pick the, let's see, candy apple red. Sure, I'll use one of their defaults and click the green check mark. And here you can see my features are the only ones that have been colored. Now, if I was to go back to my appearance, let's go back to car. We'll do gloss blue. Why not? And now it's painting everything because I've got part 1 selected. No longer those cut extrude 1, 2, and 3 features down here. But you'll also notice it didn't cover up the middle extrusions, and I can show you why. If I go to select, I don't know, any one of these faces, let me just right click and then go up to this appearance here. If I hit this drop down, you'll notice there's a hierarchy of different views. So part 1 is blue, and then that's all the way at the bottom, and then anything above that is going to appear if it is in a higher position than anything below it. So red takes precedent over blue. And then if I wanted to remove these, I could remove all part appearances, but I don't want to do that. Alright, so in order to render this, make it look nice, if I go to SOLIDWORKS Add-ins, and click on Photo View 360, a new tab will appear called Render Tools, and if I click on my preview window, it'll ask me, do I want to turn on perspective view? Sure, why not? A new window is going to pop up, and this is going to show me a preview of what the final render will look like. So, okay, here we go. And now if I was to move the shape in the background here, it'll actually adjust on the preview window. So this will allow you to get, the position right, the level of zoom, make sure that everything looks good and you're happy with it. And oh, I should probably mention, the way that I'm able to rotate is by holding down the scroll wheel on my mouse and then moving my mouse. I'm basically just holding it down like a button. If I hold down Control on my keyboard, then hold down my mouse and move everything around, then I'm able to pan. Actually, you know what? Here, I can turn on a webcam real quick. There. So, in order to pan, I'm holding down, let me move my stuff over a little bit. So I'm using my middle mouse button, and I'm also holding down Control. There we go. So Control, middle mouse button, moving back and forth. Without Control, if I just use my middle mouse button, then it starts to rotate. And then if I hold Shift, this is zoom. Then if I hold Alt, this is rotate. All right. I think you guys get the idea. So now that I'm done, I can either close out of this and just click on Final Render, or I could just click on Final Render right from this view. I'm going to close out of it and just click on Final Render just so you can see what happens. So my preview window is going to pop back up, and then a second window, a larger window, is going to pop up in the background. Now, if you click on this top banner up here, this top white one next to Final Render, this will bring this screen to the forefront. And I have my render settings turned up all the way up, so this will take a while to go through and render this cube, but then once it's done, it'll have a nice image. If I click on Save Image, let's see, am I able to change views? Nope. Okay, well, once this is done rendering, you'll have the option to save image, and when you save it, make sure you're saving it in a place that you're able to find again. If you can't find it, it's basically like you lost it and it no longer exists. So save it somewhere, and then you can submit that onto Canvas. Then you're done. Bye.